Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass with Elise Radawitz on attracting, retaining, and developing top talent in the trades. I'm honored to introduce my friend and colleague, Elise, president and founder of Velocity Leader. Elise and I first got together at EGIA's and Women in HVACR's golf tournament where we were grouped together on a team, and we immediately hit it off just because of Elise's down-to-earth and people-first attitude. And as I got to know her a little bit over the years, I learned that Elise is one of the most accomplished leadership development coaches in our industry. In just the past year alone, she's trained over 200 contractors on how to maximize profits through stronger management leadership. So I want to just dive in to her background a little bit deeper and to tell you a little bit about today's session. So with more than 15 years in human resources and talent development, she's worked with HVAC, plumbing, and electrical companies across the country, coaching business leaders on how to attract, retain, and grow top talent through practical leadership development. And her mission at Velocity is simple, but powerful. It's to teach owners and managers to transform themselves into confident, emotionally intelligent leaders who drive team success, culture, and profitability. So a little bit about today's session. We will be recording, so don't feel like you need to take a bunch of notes. Just lean in, take the next hour to engage, and I promise you, you won't have any problem, developing your leaders and attracting top talent. We will make today's session interactive, so please engage in the chats and the polls. And Elise is going to be launching a ongoing virtual leadership series called Maximize Your Impact, where she'll dive a little bit deeper into today's content and skill building Zoom sessions beginning September 23rd and going all the way through March. So if you want to scan that QR code on the screen, I'll also drop a link in the chat. We're going to be giving away one free seat to that. And everybody else will have an opportunity to get $300 off of that investment just for attending today. So please scan the QR code, fill out a brief form, and you'll be entered to win a seat in the virtual series at the end of today's show. We will also have a live Q&A, so make sure that you're putting any of your questions or comments into the chat, and we'll get to that later on. I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to Elise today. Her energy and her expertise is literally unmatched. So without further ado, Elise, take it away.
Thanks, CJ. That's such a good intro, always. And let me just tell you a little bit about the program that you would potentially be signing up for to get a free seat in today. So we meet twice a month and we go through 2-hour virtual live instructor-led courses. And so I teach them myself. So they're going to be live. They're going to be very much like today's style, actually. A lot of the content from today is things you can expect in that virtual series. And so the topics you see on the screen listed there, the first one I start with is managing versus leading. That's the big one. A lot of people don't really take for granted, like, okay, I used to do, maybe I was the top tech, or I was the high performing salesperson, or I was a really good CSR. Now we're managing people. And so we have to do the work through people, which is a shift. And so that's why I start with that as the foundation. We'll get into using our DISC profile and understanding how we can use that tool for our own development, and then being able to connect better with people on our team. And then the other piece of it is small group coaching. So of course, we'll get into content workshops and we'll learn together, and then we'll take a little bit of time off. And that's where, okay, we're starting to put things into practice and see how we do in the real world. So that's where the small group coaching helps with just reinforcement. It's really a time for you to say, hey, I tried this and it didn't work, or hey, I tried it and it actually went well. A lot of times it's going to be something uncomfortable. It's behavior change, which is why we take a slow, steady progress over time. It's 7 months. We're not like our phones where we can just, update our software, our headwear mindset overnight. So this is slow, steady progress over time. So that's just a little bit about what you can expect from that program. And I know a few people looking through the attendee list have had some of their managers go through it. So shout out to Randy. I saw you on the attendee list. So nice. All right. So a little bit about what I do. So I have a background in HVAC distribution. I started this company specifically to develop leaders in the trades. I'm married to a carpenter. I'll get to that in a second. But my heart is with the trades. And by the trades, I don't necessarily mean home services industry, which I know is kind of a buzz term. I'm talking HVAC, electrical, plumbing, remodelers, construction. I have clients in all those different spaces. And that's a difference, I think, from others. So what I've also seen is that, like I said, a slow, steady progress over time is what I want to do. I want to give this industry better leaders than we've seen before, more emotionally intelligent, hopefully calmer and more confident leaders than we've gotten. So that's really what behind what we do. The other thing, the why, I think that's always so strong. And for any of you business owners, sharing that story of the why is always helpful. So of course I'm going to do that now. So that lovely man next to me in the picture is my husband. He is a carpenter by trade, owns his own business. He's going into year 10. Couldn't be more proud of him on that. So this was us at the ABC of Wisconsin. So that's the Associated Builders and Contractors skills competition, where they have the apprentices from across, at least Wisconsin, that's where we're from. And if they do well, they compete and they go to the national competition. So this was the carpentry station that he stopped by. I, of course, poked my head over by the mini splits that they were putting in, and talked to a few of the instructors and competitors there. But it was just a really neat event. And then the other picture next to it is the me from the ICP Elite Dealer Meeting. I was able to do a one-day workshop for them last year, and got invited back this year to do that this fall as well. So I love when I say that I started this company for to support the trades. I mean it with every fiber of my being. Like, I could do leadership development or training in any industry. I want to do it for this industry because I understand the people and I really want to give and serve this industry. So a little bit about my background. Now I have a question for you. So I want you to put yourself in this headspace, even though it might not be the most pleasant place to be. But let's say that your best technician, the guy who shows up early, stays late, has a positive attitude, and rarely complains. He tells you he's quitting, right? So maybe he's the one you're planning on bringing up. Maybe he's the one you were working on a plan but didn't get around to it. And maybe it's in your head and you just never got it on paper. But whatever the reason, he's leaving and he's given you his resignation. So what happens next? Some of you have probably lived this. Jobs pile up, schedules get disrupted, your remaining crew members try to do as much and they stretch themselves to cover it, and your customers might even notice too. And so what seemed like a normal resignation turns into a financial and operational headache. And in the trades where the labor is already tight to begin with, losing that skilled employee is more than a staffing issue. It hits your bottom line and your team in a lot of ways that business owners don't expect. And so what I want to tell you is that the right manager doesn't just walk through the door. Usually there are some, you can have a unicorn walk through your door, maybe tomorrow. I hope that's the case for you. Most of the time, in my experience, they're developed over time. The right manager are developed over time. The owners, if they're not investing in their own growth, I would say to start there, and we'll talk about that. But we have to start by understanding who those emerging leaders are in our company and how we can develop them before it's too late, either before they get stagnant because they want to go somewhere else and do something more, or they get complacent, which is kind of worse, honestly, if we look at that. So I'm going to go dive right into it, and let's talk about how we identify that top talent. Well, then in HR, that's my background. I have almost 20 years of experience on the HR side. We identify them, we call them high potential employees. And so they are usually ones that are going to exhibit a couple of different traits. First of all, they're going to perform well in their current role. And that's not always, I see this happen a lot, is we'll promote the best technician or the best branch manager or the best warehouse manager, or warehouse person, I should say, into management. That's not always bad. We want them to be good at their current role. But I want them to also be driving for more growth and development. I want them asking me for opportunities to learn and to grow. And so that's the other thing I'm going to talk about is, are they consistently seeking learning opportunities? If you have values identified for your company, that was a lot of work that you undertook to outline your mission, your vision, your values. Are they living your values? That's one of those things where values is something where that should be an outline of what somebody that you're going to promote either bring into the company or promote is going to have is, are they living your values? Because values are something where we can say, we do the right thing, or we, are continuous learners, but are we living them? And are these high potential employees living them? This one is really big. I like to think of them as our bell cows. When some change, big or small, comes into the organization or the company, are they on board? Are they a positive change agent? Meaning like, okay, hey, we're going to roll out this new CRM, or maybe we have a new spiff plan for the techs. Are they somebody that I would go to in that position and say, how do you think this is going to be received? Let me tell you about what's happening, and I want to get your feedback. those are the ones that I can see as the emerging leaders. They may not have the title yet, but they have the influence and they have your ear because you've trusted them. Those are the ones that we're going to look at to identify the top talent. Okay, so now once we have them, let's talk about how we can assess their talent beyond just, hey, I think that CJ is a great guy and I would love to promote him, right? Well, I want to take it away from being a popularity contest, and I want to make it really fair, and I want to use data. And so that's where I work with a lot of leaders on using different profiles to do that. So this is where we can use their strengths and weaknesses, because I mean, nobody's perfect. I don't care what your social media account looks like. We're all flawed. We're all, works in progress. I want us to be making data-driven decisions to figure out if that person is going to be suited for that role that I'm thinking about creating. Because the other thing I want to tell you from my background in HR is, please don't create a position for a person. Create a position for the company and the need, and you'll make a better choice by putting people in that spot, just because you're going to be thinking about the role and not necessarily the person that you want to fill it. The other thing I want to tell you is to give each team member a unique plan. So based on their goals and their skills that they need to develop, because the hardest thing I think, and I just talked to a contractor about this last week, is he had to demote 2 of his managers because they weren't getting it. And I was like, okay, well, what have you done to develop them? And I was like, you can't expect what you don't equip. If you've never told them what's expected of them or how to do it well, or even have one-on-ones or give feedback or even structure their day-to-day, what it looks like for a technician, how the heck are they supposed to be successful, right? That's crazy. But we do it all the time. And I see that's one of the most common mistakes I see in contractors, big and small, truthfully, is, I almost think that we hope that they're going to be a great manager because they were a good individual contributor, and hope is not a strategy. So that's where we're going to have some formalized programs and structure behind it. And it doesn't have to become third party from somebody like me. You can do it with what's in your company already. What does good look like? Start documenting that. So one of the things that we're going to use is a behavioral profile assessment. And what I mean by this is, some people call it's a personality assessment or this or that. It is behavior. So as humans, we are very hardwired and patterned in our behavior. And I think I want to bring that up because it's not pass fail, number one, on any of these assessments. And I'll go through a few of them. It's really to understand how people operate, because so much of our behavior is almost, it's solidified by the time we're 18, by the way. It can change a little bit over time, but predictive index is one, Myers-Briggs, Clifton Strengths, Colby, Enneagram, if you've heard of that one, and then DISC. And I have that in green because I'm a DISC certified practitioner. So I think DISC is one of the most straightforward ones that you can use. For me, I used it for my own professional development to understand myself as a leader. But I also want to give that as an opportunity for my other people on my team to understand how they operate, how they communicate, because so often we communicate from our preferred style and we don't even really know it. Like, a lot of times we're kind of going through autopilot, and I didn't realize that me talking a mile a minute being a high I, and I'll explain what that means in a second, could really wear down somebody who is a C. So let me give you an example of what the heck I mean by that, because I'm throwing letters out there at you. And just for reference, has anyone taken the DISC? If you want to drop it in chat and just write, like, put a 1 in chat if you know what I'm talking about with DISC. That might help me to understand. Oh, awesome. Okay. I have a few of them that are saying 1s. Perfect. All right. Nice. Okay, so I'll give you this, and feel free throughout this to do screenshots if you like. But so our Ds are going to be those dominant drivers. They're going to be very direct, very firm, forceful, and they're very results driven. The way I like to describe a D is like, okay, I have 10 minutes. What 5 things can I get done? They will try. And I, so I am high I, and when I say high, I'm like, yeah, the stronger the dot, where your dot is on the actual map, shows your how strongly inclined you are to that style. My dot's like the outer red part of that ring. Very, very much outgoing, influencer, enthusiastic, which is why, CJ was like, you won't have to worry about energy with me. It's pretty much, this is me uncaffeinated. I know, shocking. But this is how we show up. We're your people. The I's are really going to be that person. S's are going to be, so my husband's an S. He is, even all of these dots, honestly, all the bullets are the reasons I married him. He's even keeled. I mean, like the S's are like the consummate team player. They're very much harmony. They are humble. They are patient. D's and I's play well together because they're fast paced and outspoken, and so they tend to be play well together. I say I's and S's work well together because they're more of your people. Then we get over to the C's and D's. So the C's are going to be I see a lot of those in the technician roles because this is going to be very technical, very precise. I mean, these are the people that I want installing a system in my house because there's not going to be a callback because they're going to follow that SOP or that checklist. And so, while there may be a C that's the opposite to me, from an I perspective, I love to work with a C because they double check my work. Anytime I submit an expense report or I have, a presentation like this where I'm like, can you go through it and make sure the bullets look good? I don't have any spelling errors. Like there are some really great things to play off the opposites of the graph. And the D's and C's, like I was saying earlier, those two can work well together because they are going to be more task driven and more focused on those things. They're going to gravitate to things like that. So those are just a few things, and I'll pull this in later on how we pull this data in. But giving everybody the opportunity for them to understand their style is why I put it in part of the virtual series, is I want them to understand our disc styles. Because if I work with a D all day and I come home to an S, I got to make sure that I am not direct and blunt like I have been all day. That's been working well with the D players in my world, right? That version of me walks through the door at home, she's not very welcomed. And I come off very abrasive. I come off, it's not a great thing. And so what I've learned to do over the years is adjust my style. One, I need to talk a little bit slower. I need to use questions that are more contemplative. Hey, I was thinking about going out to dinner tomorrow. What do you think about that? Even though in my head, I would love for him to just say, yeah, let's go. Where are we going? That's not how he works. That's not how he operates. So I need to adjust my style on that. That's just kind of example of how you can use DISC and this knowledge to get yourself some better relationships with people.
Hey,
So
Elise, I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but I noticed a big uptick in people just joining.
okay,
So I wanted to reiterate that you were offering a free seat
yeah,
to one lucky participant at today's session. And so we could scan the QR code or click the link in the chat that I just posted, and fill out a short form, and we'll see if you win the seat.
awesome. Yeah, good luck. All right, so I want to just go through a little bit of, some of us are probably thinking like, why do I have to do this? What's the point? Well, let me give you, of course, I'll have stories throughout this, but of what developing good, well-equipped leaders in your organization looks like. You're going to have more equipped, there you go, more engaged employees. You're going to have more empathy, more trust. It's going to be more people forward or people-centered leadership that we're looking for. Better collaboration, stronger relationships with the team. Like I just described, even at home with me and my husband, same thing goes for at work, right? You're going to have stronger relationships. You're going to have a greater sense of meaning in the work that you're doing. And you're going to have employees who feel valued. And this isn't, and I will talk about this more, this isn't just a generational thing. I know that people want to say, snowflakes and millennials and Gen Z, and we're all soft. Okay, sure. We're all people. We're all humans. So people who feel valued and people that feel like they show up every day and I would, I'm doing more than just the job that I'm there to do. I'm more than just checking a box or punching a clock. That's what you're going to have with equipping leaders to motivate, empower, and really help retain and grow your people. That's the impact of developing your leaders. Now, the risks that you have in not doing that is burned out employees who don't care on the customers they work with, or they don't care about the people they work with, siloed thinking. And by siloed thinking, the second team mentality, I actually got this from my friend who co-owns Eco Plumbers with her brother. Second team mentality is where I care more about my team of people than the rest of the company. And the trouble with that is the competition. Like all of us are driving towards the same end goal in an organization. Sales may come at it from a different angle than install or service, sure, but at the end of the day, those are our customers. And so what I want, that is all modeled for us through the leaders in our company. And so I don't want people showing up to punch the clock. I don't want disengaged employees, frankly, at any level, but certainly not my managers. If I'm putting someone into a management role, or heck, I'm the owner myself, I'm modeling the behaviors that I'm seeing. And I will tell you that if you continue to have this, if you model it, if you have people in positions of leadership that do this, you're going to have turnover. People don't want to be on that team because it's a very toxic, competitive, not fun team. And generally, they're probably not winning too much either. So let's talk about a better way to do this. And this is really where I'm going to pull out the playbook, and I'm going to give you some stories based on my work with contractors in the space. Let's talk about how we can attract top talent and what that looks like. First things first, network. I understand that labor is hard to find. I was just talking to contractors about this yesterday, actually, in a coaching session. Getting out ahead and building your bench, or trying to find people that you think would be good fits. I mean, if you love reading resumes, you can certainly go that route. I would encourage you to go to BNI groups. That's local networking groups where they meet like once a week. And it's really just to get your name out there. Whether you're an owner or salesperson, BNI groups are awesome. You can look at that online. Best practice groups, I'm not going to name drop too many of them here, but you know what best practice groups look like. You know, they'll meet at different shops. They'll meet with different owners. Online communities. I've had a huge impact, at least for myself and the customers that I work with, for online communities. Ones like Lady Titans, Women in HVACR, that one, I mean, these are some near and dear to my heart. And then Can't Stop the Growth. This is a new one that I just want to talk about for 30 seconds with you. This is Chad Peterman's best practice group that he started. Everything in the community is free. It's like the amount of sharing and learning and like high level contractors that are in this. And when I say high level, I'm not talking like 50, $100 million contractors. No, there's 2 million, 5 million, $10 million guys and gals in there. It's just, it's a community unlike anything I've ever seen. And there was they just had Chad and Tommy Mello showdown Wednesday of this week. And they had over 800 contractors in that event. It was free. Chad's heart for giving back to the industry is unmatched, in my opinion. Community events. So the other way that you can get out there, and I'm sure some of you are doing this, food pantries, homeless shelters, putting donations together, sponsoring things. I'm going to say golf outings, and no, CJ, not just because I like to golf, but it is a perk. It's certainly fun. One of my friends and customers, Miserelli, they have this try to hit the air conditioner. He's been doing this for like 8 years, I want to say. No one's ever hit it, but it's really fun because it doesn't take much work to just haul that out there, put your sign down, and get it out there. And it's a way to get your name out there as well. And all of these events you can put on social media, because that's where the job hunt's going to start too, is online. What's the culture like? Is it a fun place to work? Like, I want to know where they're involved. And that's why you see, I mean, all this stuff online, but that's the power of networking. And for you as an owner, get yourself out there. Like you sharing your vision and having people buy into that is going to be huge. Create a winning culture. Now, this is another example from one of the customers I work with as a friend, Ireland Heating and Cooling. They're out of Kentucky and have a few friends there. So one of the takeaways that we've had throughout different coaching conversations was communicating numbers and goals to their team in a way that they can understand them. And so their operations manager came up with the idea, a snowball theme idea, to present the goals, and then for every goal they hit, they were able to have a snowball fight. And she switches it up for every month. And now she's even got some of the technicians coming up with themes and ideas, but it's a way that they share the numbers without it being all about the numbers and the result. And it makes it more fun. I've also seen, I mean, again, you might do this, breakfast cooked by the owners or leadership once a week, once a month. It's something before, if you're going to have those service meetings or technician meetings, make it a little bit more fun by having breakfast and truly like being that leader that serves. Sharing daily motivational messages. This one is a really easy way for you to be able to reach out to your people. So I was talking to a sales manager yesterday who does this. He not only shares how many systems did we sell yesterday, were they full or complete, what's the revenue goal, but he shares something motivational in a daily message every day, and in a Teams chat is how he uses it, but it could be like a group text or anything. It's just a small way, and for him, it takes intentionality. He's got to show up every day, or and by show up, I mean you got to think probably 5 or 10 minutes ahead of this, right? But he sends out a text at like 6 a.m. every day, and it shares the numbers to be transparent, and then he also gives them motivation. It's not a lot of effort. That costs him nothing. It just costs him intentionality to put that time aside in the morning. The other thing, and I will preach about this until I'm blue in the face, showing gratitude. there is science and data that says that you cannot be angry and grateful at the same time. And so showing gratitude daily to your teams, if you just put a reminder in your phone or on your calendar to send out a message to somebody or 3 people, start with 1. I think it's easy. Every day, and just say something that you're thankful for them for. It can go a really long way, and just setting up how you view everything else from that point. So the same sales manager that, and this guy is, yeah, he's pretty great. The same guy that sends out those motivational messages also writes handwritten grateful, like gratitude cards, he calls them, every morning. It's just a next level way. I mean, to me, that's a leader that somebody's going to want to follow. I'm going to want to look like, I want to live my life and model it after that guy. So the other thing he said is, and he's got these on notes on his phone, by the way. I mean, however you have to do it, Post-its, sign in your office. He says he's intentional about connection. I want to make sure that I connect with my people every single day. So the other thing, if you are a company that has defined mission, vision, and values, these, yes, put them on the wall, put them on the mugs, put them everywhere and talk about it. You cannot over talk about the mission, the vision, and the values of your company, because people want to understand and be part of something bigger than themselves. And so this is really where we talk about every team meeting. I want to talk about some part of the mission, vision, or values, because I want them to understand how they connect and how they contribute to that. And this is a really hard one, and I think it's a little aspirational, but we can get there. Hiring, firing, and rewarding based on values. I should be, every hire, I should be saying, do they live our values? Are they connecting with this? I should ask them in one-on-one meetings, how have we lived a value this week? Pick one of the values and tell me how you're living it. Give me an example. And they'll do the same thing in an interview, in an interview process. So that's what I mean by hiring, firing, and rewarding to values. Like they aren't just words on a wall or on a plaque then, and they sound really good, on a video or something we post online. Like this should be something that is really in the culture of the company.
Elise, do you recommend adding your mission and values to your job postings?
I don't see why not. Yeah. I mean, so this isn't just I like, everybody wants to talk about it like it's Gen Zs and millennials wanting this. This is, I'm spending more of my time at work than I do at home. I really want to make sure that fits right. So if you believe in it that strongly, absolutely do it. Because why would you go through the effort of doing, I mean, it takes a lot of time to develop the mission, vision, and values. I would absolutely put that in a job post. All right, so let's talk about, now that we have that talent that we're attracting, we got to keep them. We got to, and then we'll talk about growing them, but let's keep them on board first. So here are some best practices that I've seen working with contractors that are how they retain top talent. Make people your priority through one-on-one meetings. I know the pushback initially. I understand. I don't have time. I can promise you that you're probably wasting some of your own time sitting in meetings that are an hour long, that could be a half hour, or half hour meetings that could have been an email. Like I lived corporate life. It happens in big and small companies. If people are your priority, then put these on your calendar, and they will change the way that you interact with your people. I have countless stories of residential install managers, commercial service managers, all these different guys and gals that have gone through my programs. And that's the biggest thing, is they're like, man, I wasn't doing one-on-ones. And one of the things, I know I have a lot on the screen here, sorry, but the thing that I would say is, do you know the names of your employee's spouse, their kids, their pets? Why do I ask that question? Because I promise you, the people at the kitchen tables of your employees know your name. You might even be a topic of discussion at night. So if you don't know those, the 2 questions I have at the top, perhaps you don't know your people as well as you think. If I don't know what they're trying to achieve, maybe they're trying to buy a house, maybe they're trying to buy a car, maybe they're trying to, who knows what. If you don't know their why, it's really hard to understand and help them achieve those goals. And people want work that matters. They want to feel valued. And so the only way you build relationships is by spending time with people. There's no easier way to get around it. Trust is built in person. Trust is built through experiences. And that's what creates that foundation for a really strong relationship. And so it's one-on-ones are important for that, because they create that time for connection. Even if it's 15 minutes, you can do this 15 minutes a week, every other week, even depending on how many direct reports you have. But you're going to have more engagement out of those employees, and you're going to have more trust and more confidence with them. And it creates that opportunity for them to be heard as well. So a few more on one-on-ones, because this is something that when I bring it up in class, I usually get a lot of traction on it. The other quote I have at the bottom of the screen, it is a privilege to lead people. And I want you to have that mindset. That actually a mentor of mine said that. It is a privilege to lead people. And so with that in mind, when you're going into one-on-ones, the question I want you to think about is, how can I help you win? How can I help you get to that goal? Sure, I make something off of it as a manager. Yeah, of course. But if they don't hit the number, it's on me. If they do hit the number, it's on me. I want them to win. So I want us to have that thought in our heads when we go into the one-on-ones. So best practices, we're going to hold them for 30 minutes every other week. Schedule these to be reoccurring. Put them on your calendar. If people are your priority, then start by building your calendar around that. Because I will tell you that I've had managers where they're like, it was summer, they kind of fell off. What I ended up doing, I ended up going to the job site and grabbing lunch with them, and we had our one-on-one that way. That's fine. However, you have to figure it out. I want your people to know that they're a priority in your world. I know we have a bunch of things that we're balancing, but man, for those managers that gave me time, I felt like they cared. And once I knew that they cared, it really changed any amount of change that happened, or any amount of, just internal changes that we had. I felt like they had my back, and I had a much stronger relationship with them. So I would also say they're not optional. If you put them on the calendar, do not move or cancel them. If you have to, talk to them first. Because the most damaging thing you can do is start with these and then they fall off the calendar, or we cancel or remove them. As the person, because I've gotten this, as the person on the receiving end of that cancellation, I'm like, okay. Once I can imagine something came up, but otherwise it's like, man, I don't really feel like I'm a priority. I guess that they're so busy doing this. And do you really want to be the manager that goes, I'm so busy doing this, I don't have time for anything else? The other best practice is share the agenda in advance. So for those S's and C's on your team, I shared the story about my husband. S's and C's are going to want to have that information ahead of time. They don't, D's and I's, cool, shoot me a question. I'm comfortable to just hit it right away and answer it. S's and C's are going to want more time. And I just think it's helpful to share that expectation up front with them. As the manager, listen carefully and take notes. This shows that you're active listening and that you're actually hearing what the employee has to say, because this is a time for them to be heard as well. And the other thing I would say is this is also an opportunity to use data, but we can address behaviors if they need to be fixed in there. So the sales managers I was telling you about, he used that time in the one-on-ones. If the employee came with, hey, my close rate is slipping. Okay. And you've noticed this pattern over a while. Well, let's pull out the job aid, or let's talk about the sales process. Where do you think it's getting? Let's role play it. Okay, you're getting an objection at the kitchen table. The homeowner says, my wife's not here. I gotta call her. Okay, let's role play it and go through that objection. He actually talked about doing that in a one-on-one. The other piece is the employee should come prepared with their agenda. This is their time to talk to me. As you know, an owner or manager, I probably have a list of things I want to talk about. I want the employees to come prepared for that meeting. It is their time with me. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste theirs. So that should be the expectation that's there up front, is I come with my list and you come with yours. And this is a time for us it's a two-way street. So that's a little bit about that. And you'll see more in the handout that CJ, we gave them that, right? That they're able to get the one-on-one sheet.
Yeah, I'm going to send that out after today's session.
Awesome. Yeah, there's more details on that and just how to execute it and do it really well. Because this is a big game changer of how the companies that are doing one-on-ones and making them sacred time and having them recurring are the ones that are winning in culture and retaining people. So the other thing, and this comes from, Peterman Brothers, Vivid Vision. I have another client locally here who shared a Vivid Vision example, but the leaders who share, and I mean sharing the vision. Where is the company going? Where are we going? Where are we right now? Where do we want to go? I'm not suggesting you have to have some very, highly graphic thing like Peterman does, but the idea is sharing that vision. You cannot overshare it. Sharing numbers, being transparent, the company goals, the department goals, it helps them understand where they're going. And this was one that I've heard recently from managers. They said, one in particular, I used to hold back information because I thought that, well, it's going to change and I don't want to say anything because then it changes. And he goes, I shifted that and I went, I'd rather just share everything maybe not with every technician, okay, or like an individual contributor. But if I'm talking about managers, I want them to know what's coming, because what I don't want them to have that to happen is the rumor mill starts, right? In the absence of data or information, people add hearsay and gossip, and that's how that swirl effect happens. And so he started changing his approach and going, I'm just going to start sharing everything. And guess what? If I'm having one-on-ones, I have an opportunity every other week already on my calendar baked in to have these conversations with my managers or employees when inevitably things change. That's like the one thing you can count on in life is things changing. I just saw the refrigerants are changing again. So good times. So we'll just navigate it, right? Another one is asking for help. I had a manager one time who we had lost a few people in the department. She had a lot on her plate and she was like, I don't know how I'm going to execute on, I forget what it was a particular event. And I looked at her and I go, I can take that. And she was like, really? And if she had never told me that she was kind of underwater, essentially, I wouldn't have stepped up, but I also wouldn't have had the opportunity to step up and be seen as that. Leaders emerge in opportunity when there's opportunity presented. You'll see people start to rise to the occasion, and those are the ones you want to pay attention to. The other thing, leaders who share. When you're going to a conference or attending a webinar or an event, bring other people with you, because the easy thing to do is just, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get poured into, or maybe I'll come back with these awesome ideas, right? And the problem is, if you're the only one that attended that event, then it's on you to implement it. Nobody was there to hear it, and them hearing it, secondhand from you, they're not going to be as bought into the idea. And that's where we can run the risk of, because I can't implement it all. Oh, what's the flavor of the month this month? What's the shiny object that the boss is coming up with now? If you bring other people into those experiences, not only do they feel valued, but you're also giving them the ability to grow as well. So I want to, challenge you. Your thinking on that is, oh, I don't know if I could, or I don't want to pull them out of the field, or we don't have time. I want to challenge that scarcity mindset. I want you to think about growth mindset. What could they gain out of it? What could you let go of if you had somebody else there with you? So,
and if I could just chime in on that point as well, think about the opportunities you have to connect with your employees, right? Maybe it's in your headquarters, it's maybe on a ride along, but when do you have the opportunity to spend a whole travel day with an employee, right? When do you have the opportunity to, if it's a 2-3 day event, have lunch and dinner with that person every day? Like, that is such a huge relationship building strategy, and you really can't replicate that in your day-to-day business. So that's just a little bit of color from my perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about, that's how you and I started our friendship, was in a golf cart riding along together for 6 hours. The time spent with somebody, if you're the owner, that I'm going to all the events and doing all the things, well, maybe make it a reward and have somebody come with you. It's invaluable. Great point, CJ. So some best practices to grow talent. Provide a career, not just a job. And by that, I mean, okay, you've identified the high performers in your team. Now, how do we know where they want to grow or how they want to get there? I'm not going to assume. Ask them. Maybe they don't know. A lot of times they don't know. We'll start by asking them, what do you like about the job? What do you think you're really good at? Where, let's start. How can I help you get there? Part of it is some people will surprise you, and they may have something in mind. It may be a millennial that's on day 4 and they want to take your job, but like, let's figure out where they want to go. And then we can from there help them structure a plan. I want to know, are you somebody that likes to learn virtually, or are you somebody that needs to go and sit in a classroom because that works better for you? These are things I want to understand so I can give you the right opportunities to grow for you. So what are those opportunities? I'll give you a couple examples. So it could be having somebody take a lead on a sales call. Maybe you're the owner and you're doing all those sales calls, but you have a technician who's high I or very people person. Maybe give them the opportunity to take a call on an install or a sales call or a project startup. It could be any of those things, kind of trying to hit residential, commercial, any of those opportunities. Role play processes. It doesn't always need to be you as the owner or manager doing this either. If you have somebody who's really strong in a particular process, I don't care if it's install, service, sales, let's go, even dispatch or CSR for that matter, cross training and giving people the opportunity to train one another is super helpful and gives them the opportunity to really see how they can do it at teaching. Because if you're really good at a particular skill, but you're able to teach it, there's been studies that show that their learning exponentially increases if they're able to teach that skill to somebody else. So that's another opportunity. Holding a disc workshop for the team. I did it for a friend of mine who it's a husband-wife team, and we had everybody in their company. Even we had it virtual and in person. It was a hybrid event. They all got to understand each other's styles. They got to understand, okay, well, that's why I get along with Brittany better than I get along with Tabitha. Yeah, cool. That's because you guys are the same style. So you're going to have a lot of that. It just gives an opportunity for them. You're investing in your people then. You're giving them the opportunity to grow. Because I know that we can't always pay people more, but if we invest in their growth and we say things like, hey, I'm going to put you in this program, or I think you're worth it and I'm going to invest in you and I'm going to put you into this, it can make them feel like, wow, that's really cool that you think I'm worth it. It could be things out of their comfort zone, staffing a booth at a home show. If you have somebody would really like to network, and maybe you're an owner that I hate that stuff. I hate the golf outings and the home shows and all that. I'm not that people person. Find somebody on your team that can come there and be that person to take the lead and see how they do. Again, send them to a class, they can gain a new certification or some new experience, and maybe they can bring that back to the rest of the group and they can teach them that at some point too, if they're passionate about it. You'll get to learn what things they're passionate about. So this one is very much the 6 a.m. Future Leaders session. There's a contractor that I know that does this every Friday. And 6 a.m. he chose specifically because he wanted to see who would show up. He'll go through, they have books that they talk about, there's podcasts, there's a bunch of different things, and sometimes it's just like a chapter out of a John Maxwell book or something, but the Future Leader sessions is something he wanted to see just who would show up. That's in my opinion is next level, but I loved it because I was like, I'm going to throw that in there. Why not? So yeah, whatever fits for your company. I mean, this is somebody who very much believes in personal and professional development, and he just wants to give people the opportunity to learn. So there's another thing, food for thought on that one. All right, and one of the I got inspiration from the Craig Groeschel leadership podcast. I listen to that one regularly. So Craig started Life Church. It's leadership. It's remove the religion part out of it if you'd like. But this particular quote struck me: "When you delegate tasks, you create followers, and when you delegate authority, you create leaders." And there is a stark difference in the two. When I delegate a task, I'm like, do this thing this specific way. And when I delegate authority, it sounds like, here's the project, I trust you to go figure it out. And of course there's more in that, right? But the managers that I can tell you that are like, take it and run with it, that gives me so much more confidence. One, because I know that they have my back. And even if here's the thing, guys, they're going to do it differently than you. And you have to be okay with that. Any of us that are parents, we already know that mom or dad, we don't have it right. It's going to be the same thing, unfortunately, with your employees. You can have all the SOPs and stuff, but they're going to do it in their own style, in their own way. Giving them, I trust you to figure it out, is all the confidence. I think of like a kid riding a bike where you're like, you got it, go get it, right? That's the difference. So focus on developing people. These are a couple of my last, we're coming to the end here. I promise I'll land this plane on time. The people around you don't just need direction. They need belief, they need development, and they need the opportunity to rise. And guys, this is where us delegating those things, and gals, sorry, I should just assume, delegation is what's going to free you from the growth in your company. Even just a little, and I'm not saying that growth is always the goal. I'm talking about just growing your people and growing your company that way. Because they're going to recruit their friends because they're like, come to this place. The owner's awesome. The managers are great. We love it here. You don't multiply by doing more yourself. Sorry, spoiler alert. You multiply by raising up others who can think, act, and lead with excellence. So how would you rate yourself? Are you a follower? Or are you simply leading followers? Or are you a leader focused on developing leaders? So closing thoughts. Growth is not an accident. It is the result of an intentional decision to shift from doing to developing. Everything around that pours over from there. Don't just lead people, build people who lead. So who are you building right now? Who are you investing in that could become a leader? And this is for anybody, regardless of what your title is. Are you surrounding yourself with people who elevate you? I've heard, I'm sure you've heard the quote that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Are those people bringing out the best in you? I sure hope so. Okay, so last chance to win. QR code still up on the screen, right, CJ?
Yep, and I just added the link again in the chat. So if anybody hasn't had an opportunity to fill out that form for a free chance at the virtual series seat, go ahead and click that and fill it out. We'll give you a couple more minutes. Do you want to field a couple questions while they're doing that?
Sure.
Cool. Did you have anything else to present, or can we swap over to just the video?
I was going to show, so after, because only one person's going to win the seat. So if they wanted information on the virtual series, I was going to show them that.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So this is the QR code. I know there's a couple of them happening, but again, the virtual series. So the last 45 minutes that you just experienced, that's 45 minutes out of probably 2 hours. I do that 7 times over. So every month this is what you see is what you get. I'm very, that's the deal with an eye is we're filterless. This is how it goes. So we wear our emotions on our sleeves and it served me well. I'm not planning on being, I wouldn't tell you to be authentic and be vulnerable and then not be that on my end. So that's my promise for you is that I will show up like this person and this version of me every single time we're in class. So again, 2 hours a month, we'll meet and do content-based workshops on a topic, and then we'll do 60-minute small group coaching. We start next month. I already have 3 seats filled because I have some owners that went through and now they're sending their managers. But I limit it to 12 seats. Maybe I would adjust to 15, we'll see. But I really want to make it small because the more intimate we are and the smaller we are, we're able to go in and out of breakout rooms and people feel more comfortable. So yeah, 9 seats are left currently. So that's a little bit of that's my plug for you on that.
Right on.
And then I should probably, contact information. I can drop that via chat.
Yeah. And I can send that out in the follow-ups as well. So I'm going to just jump into a couple questions that we've filled through the Q&A. How do you balance promoting from within versus from outside, especially if you don't see anyone internally who's ready?
Oh, that's a really good question. How do you balance it? I don't know. I mean, if you truly don't think that there's anybody in your organization that's ready to lead, I would start giving them opportunities to grow, number one, and validate that assumption. Because sometimes the other piece that, and I'll talk about this in the first session of that series, virtual series, is sometimes we put people into positions of management and they don't even know that they want it, or they want it for the wrong reasons because they want the money or the power or the authority. Start by understanding whether they may not be ready for it, and maybe you don't think they're ready for it. That's okay. I would say if that's the reality, then hire from outside. And hire slow and fire fast is a term that I learned from our EOS implementer. The last 2 companies I worked for, we used EOS. That was one of those that really stuck with me. Hire slow, fire fast. If they are a bad culture fit and they come in from outside the organization and want to have, they have their own ideas and it doesn't align with you from a culture standpoint, that could do more damage than good. And you have to put your ego aside and go, yeah, I know you hired them and you wanted to be the great, thing to hopefully save you. It's not always the case. So I think it's just, it's a situational call.
For sure. All right. Kind of piggybacking off of that. How do you balance promoting? Oh, that was the one I just read. Sorry. What's the best way to identify leadership potential in employees who might be ready for management roles?
When change comes about, how do they act? I want to see them, if there's not a crisis, but if there's a pressure cooker kind of a situation, are they handling it calmly? Are they keeping their emotions in check? Are they the ones running around with like a chicken with their head cut off, just not handling? I mean, the leader is, so much of it is what you model. And if you're not cool, calm, collected under pressure, I don't know that I would choose that person for leadership. I know I would not promote somebody into management that adds to any sort of, if they're a culture contaminator and not a culture contributor, and you see that pattern emerge every time something comes up, big or small change. Oh, we're having this, I don't know. It could be like even something fun. I just feel like if their attitude is such a huge one. I mean, there are only three things in life we can truly control, and it's our attitudes, it's our behavior, and it's I'm trying to think of the last one. Attitude, behavior. Oh my God, I'm like blanking on it. But attitude tells you everything. You're in control of it. Like there's nothing I can do I can't change that for somebody. Mindset's the other one. That's their choice. So those are the things I would look for aside from what I covered earlier. I don't know when that question came in.
Yeah. That's a good point. So attract, retain, develop. If there's one thing a company should focus on first, which of those things do you think that they should focus on?
Develop. There's zero question. You can find more, but if you have people that are already there and they're already like, they're kind of, I call them like your ride or die, like they're locking arms with you, develop them, see what they can do, see what their potential could be. And so much of it, and this is something I've learned the hard way, letting go and letting them do it is the hardest thing, but it's gonna test you as a leader, and it's gonna test them to see if they step up and rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give everyone one more question to field, to go ahead and fill out that form for a free chance to win a seat at Elise's virtual series. Can you give an example of how a strong culture has directly helped a trades business attract better candidates?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, the owners, and I'm trying not to, I'm not going to use names. The owner that I know, it does all of the hiring for his organization. People gravitate to him. They know him from events and things. You don't always have to be the visionary number one. Like, I mean, there are visionaries and there are integrators. And I don't mean to use EOS language, but that's in my head. Like some people think that I have to be this like out there big personality. You don't have to be. Some of the strongest leaders are the ones that are quiet, humble, that represent the company. He brought over an operations manager because that guy just interacted with him and knew him. And he was like, I want to work for you, is what he said to him. Like, don't undersell your value as an owner, because you set the culture and that's so much of it is sometimes we retain people because we're just being genuine and real. And that can be the culture. It doesn't need to be, it can just happen. But I think that part of it is, I know that owners feel so much pressure on them. And I get it. You have people's livelihoods and you're worried about filling the boards and making sure that they have work. Sometimes it doesn't need to all be on you. I would say to let go and let others pick up the slack and just see what they can do. But that's one situation, and I can think of that. Yeah, he recruited that guy because he wanted to work with him. I like you. I want to work with you. That's half the reason we do business with people. Hey, I like you and I want to do business with you.
People want to buy from people they like and people that like them, right?
Yeah, David Sandler said that. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I've input all of the form submitters into a random generator. And
Cool.
Are you ready for the winner of the free seat?
Yeah, let's go.
Caleb Corcoran, Caleb Corcoran of 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning.
Cool.
I think I still see a Corcoran on the call. So
Yeah,
Kyle, yeah, absolutely. You're very welcome.
Fast to the chat. Wait, that was
Yeah,
Kyle.
so,
it says Kyle. Okay.
Yeah, Kyle. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Caleb was on the call too and filled it out and then dropped
Whatever.
off.
Kyle's here. Does he have to be present to win?
No, not at all. So I think they're from the same org. So yeah, we're brothers.
Brothers,
all
both
right,
managers.
great.
Sweet. Nice.
Great. So yeah, we'll reach out to you guys. We'll give you a phone call after the show wraps, and we'll get you that free seat. And everyone else that didn't win, we kind of talked about a lot of different things that you do. Elise, we talked about kind of the DISC training, the ongoing leadership coaching and mentorship. And if anybody would like some more information on kind of what Elise does, how she can help you become a better leader and train better leaders, just go ahead and fill out, this poll and let us know, and we'll reach out after the show today. If there's any other questions, please drop them in the chat. But Elise, this has been incredible. I love your passion and your compassion for the industry. Always a great time hanging out with you. This has been a great session, and I'm really looking forward to. We're doing another session on the Breezy HVAC Insider Series on how to use field service management data to actually train better managers and use actual field data to give them some visibility into how their people are operating and where they can kind of streamline things. So looking forward to that. That's happening on September 4th. So if people want information about that show, I could send that out in the follow-up too. Sure. Doesn't look like there's any more questions coming in. So, we can sign off a little bit early, give some people some time back on their calendars, a whole 2 minutes.
Well, it's Labor Day weekend. So yeah, enjoy the holiday weekend.
That's right. You got any big plans?
Going to the cabin in northern Wisconsin. So we
Nice.
I'm hoping that the car's maybe packed up. That's too aggressive. We'll leave when we leave. So.
Yeah. Hopefully your husband and his S qualities can pack the car while you're working.
I delegate that task to him because he's a better Tetris player than me. So
awesome. All right, all. Thank you for taking the time to invest in yourselves today. I know some people are still grappling with a summer busy season and some demand calls. So it was great, hanging out with you for the last hour. And Elise, thank you for your time. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.